Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I like to give a guide for the Guild Battle 17, and Gallonbaloir Rex is the Arcana variant or reskin and is the boss for this Guild Battle, and this time we have a physical water ranking, but also this battle is primarily sigil phase as you spent most of the battle just breaking sigils. And first sigil phase is easy, but the second sigil phase, there you need to break around 80 sigils, and you really want to do it fast because mid-phase the boss will do charge attacks, and the boss will also keep debuffing you, and he will primarily deal physical damage, so physical defense buffs are very good, as well as all offensive buffs and debuffs and enfeeble. And because it's a sigil phase battle, you benefit most if you have at least one supporter on your team, so Sid and Kate are the best ones. Since the boss isn't really immune to anything, you want to stack as many offensive buffs and debuffs as possible, as this will benefit you the most. Same as having at least one supporter on your team to break sigils faster, and few times I managed to break all sigils just with Sid on my team. But this was extremely close, and I only managed to do it a few times because the slightest lag just makes it impossible. So having Sid with Kate Sith would make it most reliable, but it seems to be the Sid and Kate Sith guild battle because they can give you all offensive buffs, haste and enfeeble with their limit break and ultimate weapons. So that would be the Kraken setup, but luckily we have some alternatives we can come up with. But this is my personal team, and I have Sid with enfeeble and debuffing physical attack, Sephiroth as DPS and Angel debuffing water resistance and buffing physical defense and physical attack. And another team without enfeeble would be Barret as support with Shark Slayer to debuff water resistance and W Machine to lower physical defense. Then Aerith buffing water damage and also physical defense. And I have Cloud as DPS, but also Tifa would be even better here, as she can apply enfeeble on the boss, and you just need Sage Staff on Aerith for exploit weakness. And Kate is on another team, but as I said here, it would mainly work if you have his limit break weapon that applies enfeeble and buffs physical attack, and also Green Megaphone that he can lower water resistance with. And Lucia is another supporter with enfeeble and Nitro, and she can just lower physical defense, and also you can equip Deep Breath and Water Breach because none of the other characters they have a weapon that can debuff water resistance with. And my last proposed team would be Aerith with Tifa and Sephiroth, Aerith with Baharut for heals and Sage Staff to apply team exploit weakness. Sephiroth would be lowering water resistance with physical defense, Tifa would apply enfeeble, buff physical attack, but also with her AC glove she can get all buffs to +4. And even without any supporters, I think this team could work very well, and you always have Aerith with heals, which would make it a little bit easier to survive, especially on those higher stages. And in all teams, the gear and sub-weapons should always be the same. Non-DPS characters should always have physical attack and attack for allies weapons to boost the DPS character, and then on the DPS character you want weapons to max out physical attack, boost water and physical ability potency. And I'm sorry, I have been very busy in past few days, so I didn't really have time to practice myself, and I only know I can one-shot up to stage 3, but with my team it is very risky to one-shot stage 4. I can do it, but it's just very risky, and I'll try to practice a little bit more before the official matches begin. And I actually want to try Aerith instead of Angio, especially on those higher stages, to make it a little bit easier to survive. But the one mock I did with my team on stage 5 was 50%, but Sephiroth can really hardly survive, so it is very risky. However, to be honest, it is really nice to see that even Cloud with Maritime is still viable, but to be honest, it's really thanks to his fusion sword. But of course, Tifa and Sephiroth are much better. But overall, we do have some alternatives, and I'm sorry, I'm really not prepared, and official matches will begin in just a few hours, and this is the best I could come up with in a relatively short amount of time, but I hope it might help you. Alright, at the beginning of the battle we will get a sigil face, and the boss will have a counter, so wherever attack you or rune anything you do to him, he will counter and deal some damage to you. So it's up to you if you want to wait until your command gauge is almost max to apply all buffs and debuffs, or just break the sigils, but I'm not rushing it because I want to get a few attacks with Cloud. And the boss has shields on, so you won't be doing too much damage, just barely tickling, but I'll just use those few seconds. And here, deep breath. One more, and okay, it actually expired, so Lucia. She has a very good banner ultimate weapon that can amplify next attack 2 times in a battle, but her normal ultimate weapon is great if you don't have physical attack buffs on your team. So on my team I don't have any, so I use Lucia's ultimate weapon to buff Cloud's attack, and then army of 1 to get a 2+4, and they will last till the end of the battle. So that's actually very good. And a good alternative if you want to. And now will be the second sigil phase, which I am pretty sure I will not be able to break. So just keep breaking with Lucia and Aerith. Oh, actually, I did not expect that. Technically I could have broken it if I wouldn't be attacking with Cloud. But the sigil phase with one supporter is so unreliable. I only got it a few times. And a few times I did try to do it, and I just couldn't replicate it because slightest lag and it screws you over. Right, let's just with this. Yes, I use the first Leviathan to do a little bit more damage, but also I can get a second Leviathan for the end of the battle. Well, almost, but the boss died. Which is quite surprising because I thought I will need Leviathan for him. But yeah, it is actually very nice and surprising because it's Cloud. I mean, Tifa, or especially Sephiroth, I expected they can definitely... You can one-shot stage 3, but Cloud with Maritime, the most outdated weapon in the game. It's very nice to see that fusion, so it brings him out of the dumpster. Even Maritime is quite viable here. Alright, and now my team. And with Sephiroth, normally I usually wait for command gauge to be closer to being maxed out, but here I just use exploit weakness on him as quickly as possible before the sigil phase begins, because I don't want him to take too much damage. Because those counters, even on stage 4, they start doing quite a lot of damage. And I have no heals, so I have to rely on HP gain and physical defense buffs. So I try him to not take too much damage. But also, always before the sigil phase begins, you can press attack with your DPS and then break the remaining sigils. Just switch to another character to break them while he is mid-animation, so you can do a little bit more damage during the sigil, the stagger phase, at least with Sephiroth, because he has that's amplified, or he does more damage. But also Leviathan here. You could wait until the end of the second sigil phase if you want to, but I am pretty confident I can get it back. But also Tidal Flare amplifies next war ability by 30%, so I can do a little bit bigger attack here. But also now the second sigil phase, so I don't know, I don't think I can break it. Would be nice if it was a little bit more reliable, but this is just a chance. Yeah. There will always be few sigils left, unless you get very lucky. So let's just break, but also apply all buffs and debuffs again. But yeah, that will be all. And at least in my case, for example, I have Sid with OB1 rocket lance, so the duration is much shorter than with OB6 or OB10, so it really depends on your gear. With Sephiroth I got lucky on the pulse, so that's very nice, but Angeal's also not perfect. If you have his banner ultimate weapon, it will be easier to survive. If not Aerith, at least I will want to try Aerith instead of Angeal, how it works. Because survivability without a healer on higher stages is an issue, and I think being consistent with your score is better than being able to do more damage on just one attempt and then, for example, screw up on another 2 attempts. So consistency, in my opinion, is much more important. But yeah, that will be all. So I hope you found my video helpful, and I also wish you the best luck in the guild battle. But that will be all. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.